Hey guys, welcome, morning, welcome back. We got a very special guest, Maxwell is joining us today. Max, good morning. How are you, sir?
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for having us, guys.
So Max, welcome. So I guess just a lot of people are going to know who you are, but just tell us a little bit about the real Maxwell. Tell us a little bit about you and kind of your background and what's going on, and then we'll go from there.
I'm a first generation American. My parents are Jamaican. And so I was born in New York and spent most of my childhood in North Carolina. Went to elementary, middle, high school here, and then went off to the military at 17. Just didn't like the structure. Time and grade didn't really work out, where people that were there long, just because they were there long, were put in positions that didn't make sense. But that was the entrepreneur in me that just was screaming to get out. And so after doing my time in there, I left and got into a few things, and then got into real estate, started a brokerage. 2008 happened, and then I left and just started traveling and doing corporate jobs and working marketing and stuff. And in 2015, quit my job, came back home to create an app. App was going well, ran out of money, had to move back home with my mom at around 30 years old. And, that was pretty humbling. And then I was on my face, I was depressed, that whole nine. I was like, I got to do something. The only problem is I didn't have any money, definitely didn't have any credit. And I was like, what can I do? Found wholesaling, listened to every single podcast, YouTube video that was out back then in 2016, which wasn't much, believe it or not. And then just dove deep into it. And in 3 weeks, I got my first deal, made $14,000. The next week I closed something for $7,000. And then I never looked back. And since then, I've grown to, we've done hundreds of deals, and, I've been able to grow a YouTube channel along my journey and kind of show people how it's done. And it's just been fun. Now we have, close, I think it's 21 employees. We got 5 employees on their second day of training today. And so we're just growing and doing more stuff. And at the end of the day, my wholesaling business is actually pretty automated. I really don't go into the office anymore. My brother, who's a COO, runs the day-to-day operations, and I just kind of manage from my CEO dashboard and, listening into calls and recordings of the team and look at KPIs and keep doing things. And my strength is to, invest in the other things. So at the end of the day, I'm truly just an entrepreneur. Real estate just happened to be that car that took me to success, where I can do everything else I really want to do.
Amazing. I have a quick question. When you got started and you started on the investing journey, right? You did a decent, great size check. Mm-hmm. When you got in, did you believe that, immediately, was you kind of skeptical, like this is kind of a scam? This thing can't really work this way, like controlling property without owning it? Or was you invested from the get-go, like, no, this is going to work? It's like, what was your mindset at that time when you started?
Well, I kind of thought it wasn't real. But at that point, I didn't have anything. So it was like, okay, what do I have to lose by trying this scam or trying this thing? Yeah. Then it was like, I don't got nothing to lose. So let me go out there and try it. And lo and behold, you actually can control real estate with no with no money. And so being able to control it and then sell it and making my first check, it just became a believer. And that's why my slogan is, everybody's just one deal away, because that first deal really solidifies that this really works, and you can take it wherever you want to go from there.
I absolutely love that. It's so true. That's one deal is all it takes. It may not get you financial freedom,
absolutely
right? Not. But it gets you into the mindset that it's possible. It builds your confidence, and it really just pushes that little rock down the hill. And if you stay with it, it's going to be a boulder in no time. So
it just showed me that I didn't need to know everything, the ins and outs, in order to complete a deal. So now if I invest my time into learning some more details while taking action, I'm gonna get paid to learn. And I was writing my own checks to learn this, and years go by, you just get better and better. And you can take it where you want to take it. You could stop at doing a couple of deals a month, or you can grow into an empire and build a huge real estate portfolio if you want to. The true gem in wholesaling is knowing how to find real estate at a very discounted price. What you do with it after is your prerogative. And if you don't have any money, you wholesale it, you build up. And so that's where I say you kind of learn you're paying yourself to learn, because as you start to wholesale more deals, you're starting to interact with more sophisticated buyers. You're starting to learn the idea of selling and closing. And then you get to a point where you say, okay, why am I selling this deal again? I have all this money over here that I got to pay all this taxes on. I might as well buy something. And you start to buy, and then you start to realize, if you have everything in a software spreadsheet, you start to see your net worth just go like this, and it becomes addicting.
It does become addicting.
Yeah, it becomes a game. And so it sounds weird, but a lot of people, like you said, it is addicting. You start to watch it on paper, your net worth.
And that's a great topic, because there's a guy in one of our masterminds, Aaron West, and he had me probably about 3 months ago, and he's like, do you know your net worth? I have no idea. I make good money, I do stuff. And he's like, well, what are you worth?
You're like, I know it's not negative.
Yeah, I know I make money. I don't know. So then he starts explaining, and he's like, look, I'm going to give you a week. He said 7 days. I want you to find out what your net worth is, right? And if you don't, you're going to pay me $5,000. So I started doing it, looking at it, and now it is a game, right? It's addictive, because now I'm like, how do I go, through the levels?
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that I've only just come across 3 months ago that I've never looked at, and it's pretty amazing to hear you say that as well, and having that mindset of you're paying everything off, which is more like me as well. I don't want a bunch of debt.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Dave, he's a Burr guy, and he likes to refinance, and that's fine as well. I think it both works, but it's cool to get your perspective on that as well.
Yeah, I think for me it's my resentment against banks, because when I thought I needed the money, when I had no credit and I had no money, it was like, oh, the banks, I need the banks. They won't give me money. I can't be successful without them giving the money. And now I enjoy the weekly calls of them asking me to refi my portfolio. I'm just like, no, I don't need it. And, so it's kind of like, it's a resentment towards them. I enjoy it. I know I can probably have 5 times as much real estate, but I know that any given time that I really, really wanted to go leverage my portfolio, I can do it a drop of a dime.
Mm.
And so maybe if there's a collapse in the economy, that might be a time I go out and leverage my portfolio and take the cash out and go buy some other stuff.
It's smart.
But in the meantime, I can live off the cash flow and my net worth for the rest of my life. I don't live a complicated life. I've got all my toys I wanted. I've built $1 million house. I got my plane. I got my cars. I don't need anything else.
I've got a question. I always remember a story years ago when I met you, that you had a guy, if I remember rightly, following you with a camera, how you started with this from, I think you picked him up from like Best Buy or something.
Yeah.
And you literally hired him, and he was just following you with a camera, and you just document everything. Is that kind of how you started, getting a following and really building on the social platform?
Yeah, because I sat in my car one day in the mall, and I said, hey guys, I'm going to show you my journey as I try to build this real estate business. And I made my first 3 videos by myself holding the camera. I still got a lot of cameras. People don't know, I actually know how to loosely edit and do things myself. And then one day I was in Best Buy to buy a new battery. Anybody got cameras know their batteries go missing all the time. And so I went to go buy a new battery, and I was a big fan of Gary Vee at the time. And he had a guy named D-Rock. And I said, the guy that was helping me was actually a Sony employee working inside of Best Buy. And he's helping me find a Canon battery. His name is Jawan. I said, hey, do you know Gary Vee? He's like, yeah, I know Gary Vee. I said, you know who D-Rock is? He was like, yeah. So I was like, you want to be my J-Rock? And so he was like, yeah, what does that look like? And I was like, what do you make a week? And I was like, all right, I'll pay you that. And we started to work together, and we worked together for, I think, 1.5 years or something like that. And he went on to do some other things. And then Dave is a guy I know for 10+ years. He came in, he's been doing video his whole life, went to college for it. And then the team just grown. And now we're like, just on my content side team, there is 3 full-time employees. And plus there's an outside contract I have with a PR group that works with my communication and stuff like that. So I spend probably $300,000 a year to put out videos.
Tell us a little bit about your trip in Ghana. Like, so what have you been doing out there? Talk to us about these other adventures, because it seems a bit like me. Real estate was just kind of the concept for you, right? You're an entrepreneur. For me, like I don't come across when I have a lot of students as well, and I wasn't the guy that bought all the courses and I've dreamed about real estate. Someone said to me I can work from a phone and a laptop, and the concept's real estate, I'm all in, and that's how I started. And I'm always looking at different things. So sounds a kind of a similar thing to you. So what other adventures are you doing, and what have you been doing out in Ghana?
Well, first of all, for like entrepreneur wise, I own airplane manufacturing business. We're airplane brokers. I own a meat market. I own what else I own?
You got softwares too, right?
Yeah, 2 data companies that we built from scratch that do real well. Because I really believe in being vertically integrated in any business that you're in. And so, with that entrepreneur, I've kind of, wanted to keep exploring my entrepreneur stuff. So I originally went to Ghana to look at real estate and see how I can start to be a market leader in a developing country. And, with the second best economy, the second safest country in Africa, I was like, why not? Right. Let's go over there. Checked it out. Loved it. And I was like, let's just build real estate. And then as I started to get into it, I was like, we can all do real estate with our eyes closed. That's not really why I'm here. And it led me to a rice company. That sounds crazy. It led me to a rice company, and Ghana imports over $5 billion worth of rice every year. So they're solely dependent on imports for their rice consumption. And same with poultry. They're almost $400 million worth of chicken they import from Brazil every year. And so my entrepreneur mind started digging into it and saying, okay, how do I solve this problem? Any country would want to be dependent on their own food. And so, looking into the poultry business, finding out why, I know this is crazy. We're talking about chicken on a real estate show, but the idea is same concept from real estate is how big of a problem can I solve? And if the problem's big enough, I'm gonna make a lot of money. And so if I can capture 5 or 10% of a $5 billion rice market in Ghana that imports, then I'll be able to have a company worth $250 million to $500 million. And at the end of the day, we're all in this as an entrepreneur, our Super Bowl is selling a company that we created. Like, are you really an entrepreneur if you can't build something that somebody else wants to buy from you? And so my idea has always been, I need to build a company that someone wants to buy. It's like our Super Bowl ring. It's like our NBA title. And so not only does it, solidify us as an entrepreneur that can build something that somebody wants, but it also allows us financial freedom if we're able to exit at a big enough number. And so now I'm always looking, what else can I build and do to create a company with the end in mind? And so that's why you see me so vertically integrated in real estate. And that's why you see me deploying, money from my self-directed IRA into other businesses and other investments so that I can get that Super Bowl ring in the entrepreneurship world. And so for me, it's rice fields. It's solving the problem of creating, how do we, I just did my research, this is going down a rat hole, but America creates 98% of its corn for feed, not human consumption.
That's right.
Only 2% of corn is made for human consumption, which means because 70% of animal feed is created by maize, which is corn. And 60% of the cost of raising a chicken is from feed. And so the reason why Ghana can't beat the prices from putting the chicken on a boat all the way from Brazil is because they don't produce any maize for feed consumption, only human consumption. So, this is just going down this rabbit hole of how do I solve this big problem? And and it's the same with any business. It's the same with real estate. The only reason you're getting a check is because you're solving someone's problem that the traditional real estate will not be solved. It didn't fit in the box of a realtor listing and selling, or you're solving this other problem. And so with that, you use those same skill sets and you start to solve bigger problems. I'm trying to make a country self-efficient when it comes to food. Now, that's crazy, right? You're looking at it, you're like, who do you think you are trying to do that? But if you can solve a bigger problem, if I could wholesale, hundreds of houses with no money, why can't I fix a bigger problem somewhere else? And so that's where my entrepreneur minds, I'm sure you guys are in the other things as well too. It's like, if we can do this, why can't we do that?
Real estate is what started everything for you to be able to then build the things, and the things that you're changing originally came from real estate.
Yeah.
And you're just fulfilling things that, I mean, it's just,
for me, it's all
it's
about
pretty
impact.
amazing.
It's all about impact investing. I think all of us live a very comfortable life. And so we reached a point of our life where another $2 or $3 million a year doesn't do anything for us. It doesn't change anything. We may go on one more vacation. We're not going to go buy new houses and new this and new that. So the reality is we're looking for 20, 50, $100 million checks. Like, we can do it if we just allow our mind to expand into this bigger part. Like, there's nothing special about Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk. They just had a bigger dream than us. And so I always tell people, yes, get into wholesaling. I don't care what your passion is. It's going to teach you great skills on sales, closing skills. It's going to teach you how to help people in a time of need. And if you have a moral conscience, it would allow you to put people before money, and still make a lot of money doing it. And so that's why I tell people, get into wholesaling, get your money up, learn real estate, because it's the foundation of wealth. Because if you get a $250 million check, you ain't gonna do nothing but buy real estate with it. So you better understand the best way to buy it anyways.
The other thing that you said, one of my takeaways as well, is that the way that you run your real estate business, you're just taking your skills into other things, right? And that's why people listen and going, well, how's he doing a tech company? How's he doing this and doing rice in Ghana or whatever? How's he doing this and that? All you're doing is taking the foundation skills that you've built through your wholesaling business and applying them in, into other things. Like I used to be a golf professional, right? So I'm quite strong on the mindset. So when I got into real estate, everything that I do, even that I teach now, everything goes back to being a golf pro and having that mindset to say that you need to do in sport, and applying it into real estate. So who's going to tell me when, family and friends think I've lost my mind, a guy from England coming to the United States, going into real estate, can't build a house, can't build anything with his hands, absolutely useless. How's he going to be able to be an investor? Like, they're contacting my wife, think I've lost my mind, which is cool. And I'm just like, I'm on my journey to say, all right, let's just give me 6 months. Let's see what I can do. And guess what? When you start then to build and it actually starts to work because of the mindset, I was never going to be denied. And that's not an arrogance. And I never said anything. I was just internally believed it. And then guess what? You start doing money, you start making checks, and you do $5,000 deal, and then you do 10. All of a sudden you make 20,000 a month. And people are like, hold on. Well, can you teach me how you're doing it again? This actually works. And you got to go through that motion, and that was a big transition for me. And that's what you're doing on greater things. I mean, going to levels that you talk about vision, and I think you create the vision, but I'm not had a vision to do that and go to do the things you're doing. It's not even a vision of mine. And but having this conversation and why we do these calls is to go, you know what? There's a bigger purpose, right? Go for the, shoot for the stars, right? And so I thank you for sharing that. And again, I always say that these calls are for people watching, but we have to ask our selfish things to be able to pull it out for the audience as well. Max, what about wholetailing?
I used to do a lot of that. I used to do a lot of that.
Why not now with the crazy market that we have? And like I would have never guessed. I've been in the game as long as you, basically about 6, almost 7 years at this point, and full time at least. And man, like I got some of my students doing, buying houses at 80 or even 85% of the ARV minus repairs, and they're wholesaling them, and it's amazing, but it's not going to last. So I'm just curious, why not now? I would feel like now would be the best time to wholetail.
I think when opportunity presents itself, and it works that way, we'll definitely keep doing them. But now we're offering some different products that we're really liking, because at the end of the day, I'm trying to compete with, some of the biggest holding companies in America. How do I take the skill that they don't have and the army that they don't have, and create a massive portfolio that I could then sell.
Well, Max, look, I know you got to go. I think on behalf of me, Dave, and Don, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on. I know it's been crazy, your schedule, so thank you. And
Absolutely.
If you need anything from us, just reach out. If we can help you in any way, been more than happy to.
Sure. Let's do this again. I like the conversations with real estate people, but almost not about 100% real estate. I think it's fun to me because I think other people get to see another side of us as to why we think the way we think about real estate, which I think is
Love it.